So here we are at week 6. The files, as you see on Blackboard, are the files that you need to look at. Starting with the final project. It's labeled as winter, but it's the same as the spring for the spring. Section views, PowerPoint. I go over that in the video. Counter block and a taper collar. We have a PNG or a JPEG file of that you can look at. It's the same as in the book. You need to download the 4 DRFT5 files. Don't just double click on them. Actually click save these. Don't just open it with NX. When you just open things without downloading them first, a lot of times the program creates a temporary file which is not editable. So make sure you always download those first and save them. I already did the first 2. Let's save the other 2. And these are for your tutorial this week. The write-up might say that the tutorial is an in-class assignment. Well, we're virtual, so the in-class assignment is not in class. There's also a pre-proposal form that you can fill out and email me for your final project, which is starting next week. And there's the week 6 documentation. It hasn't changed. Let's look at that. So here's your week 6 assignments. You have 4 hand sketchings to do. These will be your last hand sketches. They're similar to week 2 hand sketches. You're given 2 views and you have to draw a 3rd view as a section view this time. Do your reading assignments first from the book and watch the PowerPoint presentation, go over the PowerPoint notes, and then this will make a little more sense. In your playlists on the YouTube channel, this looks a little bit different for spring of 2021, but it's the same information. So the first video here describes what you need to do for the week. Second video is the PowerPoint presentation. The hand sketching hasn't changed, so those will be the same as created last year. Let's open our files. Now you're given four files. When they download, a lot of times for some reason the program puts a parenthesis 1 close parentheses behind it. You may have to go in there to the file, take the parentheses off. The shorter file name is the model, the longer file name is the draft view, and it's going to be looking for the shorter file name without the 1 after it. So let's open that one up. Section DRFT5 section 2 is the model file. Let's open that up. Let's see what it looks like. It'll come in grade. Now this is the model. You're not actually going to do anything with this. The model is created already. We're going to do the draft view, sometimes called DWG drawing file. So there it is. The instructions are on the right hand side, so you should be able to just do this thing without my help. But since things have changed and I haven't redone this, I'm going to go over this in NX13. So what we have to do is we're doing a section view. We're going to go through the part. We're going to cut through this circle here, this hole, offset, go through this one, offset, and we're going to go through the one that you can't see because the hidden lines aren't turned on. It's this circle that you see in the right side view. We can use, though, the other view to find this circle. So the first thing I have to do is go to the section view command. And you see it brings up a cutting plane line. We want simple step section, which we call a full or offset section. and we're going to click it and drop it right there. Now what we want to do is we want to offset it. So if we right click and say add segment line, and then click through the next where we want to offset it to, notice it offsets it. And we want to do that again, right click, add segment line, and we're going to offset it through this one. Okay, and now we need to get this hinge. This is called the hinge line sometimes in NX. We need to straighten this thing out, so we're going to click on specify location, and notice now it rotates. So we want the cutting plane. Remember, the cutting plane line, it's a line that represents a plane in space, so it's a line in edge view. So we drag this box down here, and when we click it, there we have our cutting plane. Oh, and I did that a little bit wrong. Notice how my hole, I'm going to escape out of here. Notice how my hole is not all totally there. That's because I clipped through the edge of the hole here. Now I can probably, let's see if I can double click on that and click on that and drag it over. Click on this and drag it. I don't want to do that. I want to drag that over. There we go. Or just redo the line and then close it, and then now this one has to be updated. To update anything, you right click and say update. Where's the update? Okay, you can't update it there. Let's go over to Navigator, right click on drawings and say update. There. If you can't find that, if you don't know how to update something, just redo it. Turn the hidden lines back on, right click, settings. We want dashed lines. We don't want the hidden lines invisible. So it should be like this. They turn the hidden lines off so that they can show you that you could grab parts, this hole from the right side view, instead of actually grabbing it here. So let me go to these settings. No matter what you're given in a working drawing, you should always make sure it looks right. CAD does not know if it's doing something right or wrong, so you should know how to adjust it so that it gives you what you should know. This one, I'd move this line. Let's double click on it. That didn't work. Double click on it. There we go. We want to move this through the center of that hole. There we go. Otherwise, the hole that it shows in the view, and now that I change the view again, this is going to be a little bit wrong. So let's right click on drawing and say update again. Okay. If for some reason a section view or a view that you create does not give you a hidden line, say this center line, then let's say we delete that. And you notice, hey, there should be a hidden line there, or should be center line there. Well, go in and put it in there. So let's see, we go to right here. That's called the 2D center line. There's two ways to put a 2D center line in: by points or by curves, from curves. So from curves, you choose the lines that are the curved edges, here and here. And there you can adjust by clicking and dragging that center line. Or if you pick the other method, by points, what you choose is the center point of the cylinder, there and there, and that's another way. Sometimes you don't have the option to do one or the other, so they give you both options. So that's how you put a center line in if you accidentally delete it, or if it's not there. Center lines do not appear unless the feature that it is putting a center line for is a full circle or a full cylinder. So if that hole were only a half a circle, okay, if it wasn't a full circle, a full cylinder through there, but just an arc, then it wouldn't show a center line by default. That's what the first assignment should look like when you're done. Make sure you update the title block. And I'm going to finish that. Save it. To make a PDF file, File, Export, PDF, and click on Append. Choose your file name. Put your name in here, your full name, your section number, and then week 6, assignment 1. Save it. And then let's go to the next part. Open the section 3 drawing file. This looks like this, and I even put a shaded isometric in the corner here so you can see what it looks like a little better. Again, the directions are right here. I tried to make them as descriptive as possible if you want to delete the directions later. But this is, if you get to your final project and you forget how to make a center line, or sorry, if you forget how to make a section view, an offset section, or a full section, remember a full section view. A full section, you just put something down like that and click, and that's a full section. Okay. Offset is used with the same command. This we're going to do it in a aligned section. If you remember your PowerPoint notes, this is an aligned section that's also going to be a stepped section, so a stepped aligned section. What we're going to do is we're going to go through, and what is a stepped aligned section? What is a stepped section, or typically it's called an offset section? What is that? It's like a composite of two different things, as explained in your PowerPoint notes and in the reading assignment. So we're going to go a section line. We have to change here to what NX calls revolved. This is not what conventional drafting calls a revolved section. Don't know, they shouldn't have used this name, but they called this a revolved section. This is actually an aligned section. And you want to click at the arc center first, and then at the 9 o'clock hole, and that gives you your first leg of this cutting plane line. Then you want to go through and you want to find the center point of this hole that's at the like 1 or 2 o'clock, and you want to click on the center point of that. So far so good, except we want to get two offset sections, sorry, two aligned sections in one section view here. So we're going to split this right hand wing here, this right hand line, and we're going to do that by I think we say specify leg location 2. There's a couple different ways to do it. As long as you do it one way. You can also right click and get the add this second leg, but click on that leg and notice it snipped it in half and moved it down here. Now this center line, this line here, this cutting plane line, if you want to see it a little better, you might want to move it out there so we can see it, so it's not hidden on top of an object line. And then to bring our box back so our section view is not being shown right now, we go to specify location, and that should turn it back on. And we drag it down here and click to drop. And notice what it does is it gives us a section view through the center line of the part, up through this hole, and also that hole is shown as like a true view, and also it goes through this hole here. Now, when hidden lines are turned on in the mother view, the child view, as they call it, mother and child, they're related. The mother view, if it has hidden lines on, the child view is going to have hidden lines on also. In our template that I gave you, normally the hidden lines are turned on, so your section line will always have hidden lines turned on. But hidden lines should not be turned on in a section view, so we want to turn those off. So we're going to highlight that boundary box, double click on it, go to hidden lines, and in the section view we turn them invisible. There. I'm not sure why in this template it did not put the center lines in, but that's okay. We know how to do that. We go to up to your center line, go to 2D center line, and we're going to do from curves, we're going to go to here, and we're going to grab these two lines, and that's going to give us a center line here. If you want it a little bit shorter, a little bit longer, it should be, center line should be a little bit longer than the actual feature. Okay, they should not end at the line, at the edge. They go a little bit longer. Apply that one. Go to the next one. Now for this one, since we have a counterbore hole, we want to choose by points so that we go here and here and get a line long enough. If we didn't, if we went by 2D center line and chose from curves, and you go here and here, well, it's not long enough, and by the time you get it long enough to fill in the bottom, it's touching up here. You don't want center lines that touch between views. That's bad form. So that doesn't work. I suppose you could apply that and then put one down here also and overlap them. Just be careful if you overlap center lines that you don't lose the line type. Okay, you don't want to go covering the gaps there. That would work also. Over here, sometimes you can't go. Will it let me do by points? It won't let me grab this end here. Oh, let me grab that one. That'd work. And then maybe down here, and that would be long enough. Okay, that works. So that works. You could say okay to that. And there's another way to do it. Sometimes if you have a counterbore hole, is what you can do is from curves, you pick the top of one edge and the bottom of another edge. Okay, now you don't want to pick this line because that would put a center line halfway between this line and this line, and that would not be the center of the hole, right? That's offset. So what you want to do is remember, always pick the same sides of the same hole. So that side and this side is okay. And then stretch it. Up here, same thing. We want to do like these two sides from curves, or we could have chosen this line and that line. Same thing. So you're responsible to make sure that the part looks correct, that the center lines are correct. Your part that you get, I'm not sure if I turn these on or off, you might not have center lines for these 6 holes around here, so let's put those in. If you had center marks for these holes, I forget if I gave them to you this way or not. If you have center marks, that'd be wrong. In a round part, a cylindrical part, typically they use a polar coordinate system to dimension these, so they would do a bolt circle center line. And I think I showed you this before in a previous video, but pick any 3 points or more. So that's 3 points. It does a circular center line. It also puts in a crossing center line. We want to do it for this one too. For the 3 and 9 o'clock holes, we don't need them because we already have a center mark through there. We want to get rid of this center mark though. Okay. And that's how the second one should look. You go to File, Export, PDF, append that, and put it in the same file as the other file that you named for week 6 assignment 1, and it'll put them in the same PDF file because it will append this one to the last one. And then you can send this to me by email. Also take and save these things in your U drive so I can look at the parts, and if there's any questions, you can ask questions that I can actually bring up the part and look at it. You can follow the directions if you want, or just follow my verbal directions here to get that, but that's how it should look. These section cut lines can be edited later. You can double click on it. It's got a nice editing feature here. If you see a yellow dot, you can click and move that. So if things are in the way or something, the letters typically are supposed to go next to the arrowhead. On a real busy drawing, sometimes dimensions can get in the way of this, so you should always move your your letters to the arrowhead, so we know that this goes to that arrowhead. Oftentimes on drawings you have multiple cuts. You could have, if you're doing an architectural drawing, somebody could have multiple cuts through an architectural plan, and they always put the letter next to the arrowhead so you know which cutting plane line you're describing here.